So I'm Scott King. I'm a rising third year in the program right now. I work in Dr. William Corbin's lab. Essentially, the whole goal of Dr. Corbin's research and my own research in our other labs is really to identify individual risk factors of alcohol or problematic alcohol use. So why some people get more reward, why some people experience more negative consequences and things like that. So really trying to better understand some of the contributing factors to why substance use disorders develop and people experience negative consequences. So I'm really focused in reasons why people drink, so drinking motives, and then subjective response. So that's kind of that domain of why people get more stimulation and reward or more sedation and negative effects. So those two main individual differences are kind of where I fall into, and then I'm really starting to branch into drinking context as well. So social settings or solitary settings. So I applied to study drinking motives or reasons why people are drinking in a real world setting using what we like to call EMA or ecological momentary assessments. And we can do this because smartphones are a part of everyone's life, and there are apps that allow us to collect data in as close to a real world setting as possible. And that's really important because most alcohol research up to this point is done in a lab. You know, here in the Barca lab, we have our simulated bar, and other campuses and other faculty across the country collect alcohol research in a solitary, sterile lab setting. And neither one of those are really how alcohol is consumed. You consume it in a group of people, for the most part. However, there's a significant minority of people who drink alcohol alone or choose to drink alcohol alone. And those individuals expose themselves to a whole other range of consequences above and beyond the people who drink alcohol only with others. And so that's kind of aim one of what I applied to look at, was to differentiate how reasons for drinking alcohol differ between social and solitary contexts. And the second aim is to go a little step further. So typically we have assumed that drinking motives are pretty stable. So I can go up to anyone on the street and ask, hey, why do you drink alcohol? And whatever they respond, whether that to be to have a fun time or to help themselves with negative affect, will always be, or a pretty good approximation of why they always drink alcohol. However, recently, some very talented researchers across the country have started identifying that those are more flexible than what we initially thought, and they vary from day to day. So on one day, someone might drink to have a good time, and another day, someone might drink because they're feeling socially anxious or something like that. And I want to take that a step further. So not only examine how these drinking motives differentiate by solitary and social context, but how they fluctuate across a single drinking episode. So over the course of, I believe, about 3 hours of why people's reasons for drinking might change. And hopefully that'll give us even more granularity as far as being able to understand, if you start out drinking for this reason, is that why you drink for the entire time? Or are there other reasons? You know, maybe you're drinking for a good time and because you feel socially anxious, or maybe you're drinking to cope with a bad time and because you're in a social situation. And so those unique combinations and fluctuations in motives is really what I'm hoping to target in this study.